Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for Concord and Ninth. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here to give you a complete look at the brand new December 2025 release from Concord and Ninth, and you are going to love this. Let's kick this off with the brand new Fish Friends stamps, dies, and coordinating stencils. This Fish Friends bundle is designed to create an underwater scene full of fabulous little fishies, and I love all the ways that you can use these products together or separately. So let's start out by having a look at the die set. Now this includes dies that have the outline of the fish as well as some design elements. So you can either paper piece these fishies together, or they're perfect for die cutting the stenciled images or for using for a sentiment base. There's also some seaweed and an adorable little starfish as well as some coral. The Fish Friends stencil pack contains 4 6x6 stencils, which can be used to create a whole school of fish or an underwater scene, or layer them together to create a really fun look as well. Stencils 1 through 3 will stencil the individual little fishies, and then stencil 4 includes this kind of water scene, which can be used as like a snowy hill border or a grassy hill border as well. The Fish Friends stamp set includes an array of fun and punny sentiments that coordinate back to the dies and stencils. So here's a look at all of the die cuts die cut out. All of those paper piece fishes are on a solid cardstock backer, which can be used to stamp various sentiments from the stamp set. You can see the seaweed and the coral elements there at the bottom. And I love how all of these fish look paper pieced together, but they're also fun if you just kind of cut them out of some solid colored cardstocks for a sentiment. So let me give you a look at these stencils in action. These are 6x6 stencils, and I'm using a 6x6 piece of cardstock. So I'm lining up the stencil along the right-hand side and along the bottom to make sure it lines up with my cardstock. You could do this on an A2 piece of cardstock instead and create a card front. I like to do a larger piece and then trim it down for the card that I'm creating so that I have a little bit left over that I can use as a border. I've held my stencil in place with a grip mat and a piece of tape along the top. And for stencil number 1, I used watermelon ink. Once I'm done with stencil number 1, I'm going to line up stencil number 2. And this time I'm blending all of the details on the fish bodies using grapefruit ink. You can see I'm just quickly going over this with a single color of ink. But if you want to create a more interesting stenciled school of fishies, you could use like ombre inks, or you could stencil each of these rows of fish in different colors. Now for stencil number 3, it stencils the eyes on the fish as well as the tails. So I'm stenciling over the tail area with some sea glass ink, and then I'm coming in with a mini ink blending brush and going over the eye area with mushroom ink. That gives me the control I need to only stencil small areas on the stencil. So here's a look at my school of fishies stenciled with numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now, stencil number 4 is kind of this wave pattern, and this is really fun to use as either an embossed image on your card front or as a stenciled image on your card front. And you can use this in a variety of ways. You can see here, I'm just lining up the stencil over a panel of A2 white cardstock, and I'm blending over the entire open areas with some sea glass ink. Now I can take and rotate or reposition the stencil to add a layered look. So I've rotated it 180 degrees, and now I'm using some blueberry ink to blend over the areas where those waves are hitting. This is going to create a layered water look, and I think it's a fun way to use the stencil. Now, once you're done with blending a second time, you can rotate or flip it over, or you can slide your panel of cardstock through the waves and blend just portions of the stencil as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways to use this stencil and build up your scene. Now I'm going to flip this over to the back side and show you how you can create a partial scene on your card. You can see I'm sliding my A2 panel through the stencil and just using that bottom wave there. I'm blending with just a little bit of sea glass ink, and then I can reposition again and blend a larger area by weaving my panel through the stencil. So this will give me a layered look again, but it's only going to be on part of the card instead of the entire thing. And you can see I've used the same color of ink, but because there's varying intensities, I get a beautiful layered look. Now here's a look at the first card that I created with the Fish Friends stamps, dies, and coordinating stencils. You can see I stenciled my whole school of fish there on my panel, and I added the water scene over the top of that with a light blending of sea glass ink. I've combined this panel with a few die cuts from the coordinating die set, including the coral and some of that seaweed and kelp, and put those alongside of a stamped circle there, which has the big congrats from all of us sentiment from that stamp set. Now for card number 2, I focused on the dies, but I did want to show you I actually used that water stencil set to create an impression on my cardstock, and then I added a little bit of ink blending, so it gives it some texture and dimension. I've combined that background with some die cuts from the die set, including this adorable paper pieced fish, and on the inside, I included the sentiment, "That's fish speak for love ya lots." I thought that was such a fun addition. This Fish Friends bundle from Concord and 9th is so much fun to play with. I love the collective we sentiments or the individual sentiments that you can use in coordination with the dies and the stencils. Don't forget to share what you make and tag Concord and 9th so we can see all of your fabulous fishy friends. Come with me as I give you an up-close and personal look at the brand new Friendly Phrases stamps and coordinating dies from Concord and 9th. This is a stamp set that is full of friendly phrases, and these coordinate beautifully with some of the other elements from this new December release. The two main sentiments, "You're the nicest" and "So happy for you," have coordinating dies, but there's also imagery that coordinates to the Patchwork Inlay Die set, and several smaller sentiments that coordinate back to the die set with these rectangles, squares, and hexagons. There's also the smaller dies, which will die cut out the floral pieces and the leaves. So there's a variety of ways that you can use this, whether stamping directly onto your card front, onto a die cut shape, or die cutting the sentiment. Here's a look at all of those dies die cut from some various colors of cardstock. You can see for the florals, I've combined it with the coordinating stamp set, but this gives you a good idea of how these sentiments coordinate with the various shapes from the die set. Now here's a card that I created with that "So happy for you" sentiment. I actually combined this with the brand new Hexi Blooms Inlay Die set. I wanted the sentiment to kind of take center stage. I heat embossed that onto some vellum and then created an additional layer from some sunflower cardstock and gave it a little offset so that it brought some color to that vellum sentiment. Now for card number 2, I stamped the Good Vibes Only sentiment onto the square from the coordinating die set. And to give it a little postage flair, I combined it with a die cut from the Sending Joy bundle, which is from the November 2025 release from Concord and 9th. These sentiments from the Friendly Phrases stamp set are perfect for a variety of card projects and coordinate so beautifully with other products from this brand new December 2025 release. I can't wait to see your creative ways of combining them with your Concord and 9th products. It's my absolute pleasure to share the new Hexi Blooms Inlay Die set. You're gonna love this set. It is so much fun to play with, and it has that classic kind of quilt feel with a modern vibe. This die creates a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch background. You can see that on this cover plate die, there is an outer cutting edge, and that's perfectly designed so that your outline will fit on an A2 size card. You can either use this as an entire background, you can create an impression with it, or you can use the individual elements that are created by the die for smaller accents on your card. Now, when you die cut this out, you're going to be left with an outline and several of the pieces. You can see the individual pieces right here, which then stack together inside of the outline to create an all-over effect. Or you can stack these individual pieces up together, as I've shown with the yellow one here, to create kind of this floral feel. Now, in order to place these into the outline, it's very easy to do. I have some adhesive on the back of them, and you can see they'll just nestle into that outline. So once you've die cut this from several different colors of cardstock, you can create a multicolored background. I really love this because you can do as much or as little of this as you want. And then, of course, there's this piece here which nestles into that outline as well, creating an all-over pattern. Keep in mind, this creates a really beautiful effect when you use it for an impression. So here's card number 1. I have created an all-over pattern with the Hexi Blooms. I have die cut several of the outlines and stacked them up and given various portions of this pattern different dimensions. So I have a couple of layers behind the white pieces, 3 layers behind that outline, and you can see I've also used those individual pieces to create a little floral element above my sentiment. It's hard to tell in the video, but this kind of stair steps down into the center of those florals, and there's a lot of dimension in real life. Now for card number 2, I used those individual Hexi Blooms to create 4 blooms for this mini slimline card. I've assembled them and popped them up on some foam adhesive, and I've used the leaves from the brand new Friendly Phrases stamp and coordinating die set to make these into little floral elements for this simple mini slimline card. I love the way that Concord and 9th has taken something traditional like a quilted feel and given it a modern twist, and I think you're going to love creating with this new Hexi Blooms Inlay Die set. I can't wait to see what you make. If you have a big celebration coming up, this brand new Limo Party Stamps and Dies is the perfect way to celebrate. It is one of 2 brand new expandable cards available in the December 2025 release, and it centers around a very large die set as well as a coordinating stamp set. Now, this die set includes all of the pieces that you need to create an expandable card without having to measure a single thing. You're going to see not only the limo front and the back, but the center part, which you'll cut multiple times to create an expanding card. You also have all of the details, some banners, as well as some balloons, a champagne bottle, champagne glasses, money, and a disco ball. You have everything you need for a party in this set. The coordinating stamp set includes sentiments like happy birthday and congratulations, just married, and many of these are sized to fit on the inside of the card or on the banners included in the coordinating die set. So you can mix and match these for a variety of occasions, and I love that just married sentiment because I don't have enough wedding cards in my stash. So here's a look at all of the die cuts included in the die set. First up is this panel. You'll need 2 of these to create an expanding card, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. This will create the score lines that you need on the panel so you don't have to measure anything. In addition, you have all of the pieces you need to create your limo, no matter how short or how long you want it. You also have a bouquet, some balloons, the little arms, which will come up out of the top of the limo if you choose, a couple of banners for those coordinating sentiments, as well as some money and a disco ball. I mean, everything you need for this limo is right in this die set. So let me show you how this all comes together. To create an expanding card, you're going to need 2 of those panels. Those are die cut from the die set and create the score lines that you need. You'll also need a panel of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch cardstock. You're going to start with the panels, which are created using the die set, and I like to fold the tab towards the back and this rounded portion towards the front. I like to reinforce those fold lines with a bone folder so that I get a nice tight crease. Now, once I've done this with one of the panels, I'm going to repeat that process with the second panel. So you're going to end up with 2 of these pieces that have kind of this accordion fold. Once I have those folded, I'm going to add some adhesive to this tab, and then I'm going to line it up with my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock here. I like to kind of just nestle the cardstock into the fold line of that panel and press the tab onto the back side of my panel, attaching it to my card base. We are creating an expandable card, so this is one side of that expandable card that will open into this really long, fun limo scene. I'm going to repeat that process with my second folded panel here, attaching the tab to the back side of that panel of cardstock, and now I have my expandable card base. In order to adhere the limo, I'm going to die cut the front and the back from some sea glass cardstock, and I'm going to adhere it with this panel closed right onto those rounded portions on the front side of the card. As I adhere this onto the card front, I'm making sure that the front and the back of the limo line up with each other. Then I can open this up, and I've die cut 4 of the limo middles. This is the perfect amount to fill in this entire expandable card. I like to line them up with the front side and the back side first, and then fill in that center portion with 2 more pieces. These are sized perfectly to kind of allow you to place them around the folds of the card and end up with this really fun expandable card design and this super long limo, which I think is adorable. You can then add your window pieces and your accent pieces to your limousine to create a finished look. Now, if you want to add hands to this, make sure you add them to the back of your limo piece before attaching it to the card. For card number 1, I've created a slimline card. This measures 9 inches by about 3 1/2 inches. And you can see I've used the front side of the limousine, one portion in the center, and then the back side to create this limousine on a slimline card, which is so perfect because you can make this car as long or as short as you want. I also stamped the Just Married. I added my little hands with a champagne glass and the bouquet, and I attached some balloons to the back side of my limousine. Now for card number 2, I've created an expandable card. So you can see I've die cut this out of some Nectar cardstock and added all the pieces to the inside of the card to make this super stretch limousine, which I think is so much fun. It's a perfect birthday card, so I've stamped that happy birthday greeting on the banner with the little hand holding it out of the top of the limousine, and I've added some balloons kind of tucked throughout. I've also stamped this "Let's Stretch Out the Celebration" sentiment on the inside of the card, and all of the accents on both of these limousines are die cut from some champagne cardstock. This Limo Party stamp and coordinating die set is perfect for creating a variety of different card projects, and I can't wait to see the ways that you use this for all of your various celebrations. I'm here to give you a look at the brand new Patchwork Inlay Die from Concord and 9th. This is brand new for December 2025, and it is so adorable because you can use it in a variety of different ways. Now, for those of you who love inlay, you're going to love creating a variety of colors and patterns for these quilt blocks that are on this A2 size card project. This will create an outer cutting line because there is a border, as well as 5 different individual blocks that kind of coordinate with the Hexi Blooms, as well as the Friendly Phrases stamp set from this month's release. So let me give you a look at the individual pieces as they're die cut. So there are 4 pieces that make up this frame that can be assembled on your card front. It's perfectly sized for an A2 size card. And you can see I've inlaid the little leaves and the elements there. Now there are 5 different quilt block elements that are created by this, and you can use these individually, or you can piece them into the outer frame to create an all-over inlay card front. You can see that you can die cut these from various colors of cardstock and create a fun pattern for your card. Now here's a look at card number 1 that I've created with an all-over inlay effect. I started in the bottom left-hand corner and kind of worked my way across, building in and filling in the frame and all of the pieces that inlay. Instead of using cardstock for those circle elements on the frame, I used enamel dots. And you can see I've inlaid my florals and my lattice all there. And I've stamped that Big Hugs from the Friendly Phrases stamp set, which is brand new this month as well. I love this kind of modern twist on a traditional quilted pattern. For card number 2, I decided to use the elements individually. You can see that floral quilt block as well as the lattice there. I've combined it with the Good Vibes Only stamp from the Friendly Phrases. And on the background, I created an impression with the brand new Hexi Blooms Inlay Die to add some texture to my card front. I finished it off with some enamel dots in the center of my florals. Whether you're creating a total all-over inlay design or using these pieces individually, it is so much fun to play with this brand new Patchwork Inlay Die set from Concord and 9th. I know that your brain is already spinning with the ideas, and I can't wait to see what you make. If I'm allowed to have a favorite from the release, it just might be the new So Many Scoops, stamps, and coordinating dies. This is one of 2 expandable card sets featured in this December 2025 release, and this one creates a stack of ice cream that we all dream of all the time. In this, you have everything you need to either create an expandable card or a traditional A2 size card. It also will make great slimline cards as well. This panel here is what you're going to use to create your expandable card. But in this die set, you're also going to find your cone detail elements, and all of the scoops that you need to create this expandable card. I'm going to show you how that comes together in just a moment. I did want to point out that there are some mini ice cream scoops, a cherry for the top, as well as some fudge or caramel topping, and of course, the most adorable hearts you've ever seen. Now, the stamp set coordinates perfectly because these sentiments can be stamped on top of the ice cream scoops along the sides. There's also some detail pieces for those smaller cones in the set, and I love the way that all of these elements combine together. So let's have a look at all of the individual die cut pieces. This panel here is what you need to create an expandable card. It does create the score lines for you, so there's no guesswork. It's actually really easy to put together, and I'll show you that here in just a few minutes. Here's a look at all of those die cut pieces. There are some layering pieces for the cones. There's 3 different scoops, and I'll show you how to use those in just a bit. This one here is divided to allow you to kind of bridge the gap over the fold lines in the card. It'll make more sense here in just a moment. There's also a die cut yay, there's the smaller scoops, and this piece here coordinates with the stamp set for some sentiments that you can then lay over the top of your cone like a cone wrapper, which I think was such a fun element. There's also sprinkles, which you can die cut individually, or you can die cut them into the top of the scoop. Let me show you how this expandable card comes together. You're going to need a panel of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and 2 of the panels die cut with the coordinating die set. These are going to create the score lines, and you're simply going to fold the tab back one way, and then this circle tab you're going to fold towards the front. So I like to fold the tab, the smaller skinny tab back, and the circle tab towards the front. I'm going to repeat this with the second panel, and now I'm ready to start adhering these. I'm going to add some strong adhesive to the back side of these tabs that I've already folded over, so you can see it's here. I recommend using a strong adhesive. I'm just using a tape runner adhesive to kind of show you this for today. Once the adhesive is on that tab, I can nestle that A2 size card panel into the fold line of that die cut panel and wrap the tab to where it's adhered on the back. I did this with both of the panels, and this gives me my expanding card base. Once your card base is built, you're going to start attaching your pieces. I like to add some strong adhesive to these circle tabs on the front, and I start with my cone on the bottom flap here, and then I'll add my full-size scoop on the top tab. Now, there is a place on this cone where the bottom portion, that scalloped portion of your scoop, will kind of line up with the cone, and you're just going to make sure that those are kind of aligned. Now, that gives me the first part of my cone, and then I can start on the inside and work my way up to that top scoop. That's where this kind of divided scoop comes in handy. I'm going to add that lower portion onto my cone. There is an impressed line that helps me line that up. And because this is split, I can then account for all of the fold lines in this expandable card. So you can see I'm lining that flat portion up with the bottom of the card, and then I can start building up my scoop layers. These are designed to nestle right into each other, so it's very easy. And when I get to a fold line, I'm going to make sure that I use that divided scoop layer. So the little scallop portion goes below the fold, and this upper portion of the scoop goes above the fold. You're going to have tiny gaps in here because you have to allow for the folding function of the card. Then I can continue building my scoops all the way up, a couple of partial scoops here, actually 3 of those, and then again a divided scoop to account for that fold line in the card. So I'll add the smaller part at the bottom of the fold and this upper part above the fold line to allow the fold line to function properly. Then I can add my final partial scoop at the top, and you can see I have this fun expanding card design. I love this so much, and it's so fun to create these ice cream scoops in a variety of colors. Now, in addition to an expandable card, you can also create A2 size cards with this same die set. You can see I've added just a couple of scoops here. I've stamped that hooray along the side of my scoops, and I used a partial scoop and a full scoop to build a double scoop ice cream cone. Rather than try to die cut all of the individual sprinkles, I just die cut the sprinkles out of that sea glass scoop and backed it with a piece of glitter cardstock. By the way, the Neutrals cardstock pack from Concord and 9th is perfect for creating your cones. Now here's an expandable card. You can see I've die cut all of the pieces, the fudge and the yay from the die set. And when I open this up, you have this huge stack of ice cream scoops. I've stamped the Oh Happy Day in the center of the card, as well as that little kind of ray design on that scoop there. And I think this is such a fun surprise on the inside of this card. When I close the card back up, you'll also see that I stamped that fun like burst pattern on either side of this scoop using some white pigment ink. I absolutely love this brand new So Many Scoops bundle from Concord and 9th. It is so much fun to put together these ice cream cones, whether it has a cherry on the top or sprinkles. I think you're going to love it either way, and you're going to love playing with this brand new So Many Scoops bundle. I'm Carissa Wiley. Thanks for joining me here for this up close and personal look at the brand new December 2025 release from Concord and 9th. I'm so glad you're here, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.